So this is part 5 of our analysis archaeological dig into things we take for granted. As I like to say at the beginning of each of these videos, I recommend you view this set of videos in order, as they do build on each other. However, they can be viewed independently. I found another artifact, a bunch of human design systems. These are everywhere, of course, some systems being used by millions of people. Here's a system many of us are familiar with, but before I get into this example, I want to emphasize that I'm not making a political statement here. This is just a system design issue that can apply to many established systems. I came to the States many years ago, and to become a citizen I had to take a test. It was a very important test to me, so I started biting my nails and I think my face broke out in acne. I was given a booklet that described the political system in the United States of America. The booklet said, the form of government in the USA is a representative democracy. A representative democracy having the principle of an elected person representing a group of people, as opposed to a direct democracy where the people vote on policy initiatives directly. I can understand the reason for implementing a representative democracy in the 1700s, because the implementation of a true democracy, one person, one direct vote, would have been quite difficult to design for such a large country. I mean, what implementation technology was available back then? Of course, there wasn't a computer internet, or public telephones, or fax devices. There wasn't any public air transportation system. No freeways or good roads to travel to a location to vote on an initiative directly. Of course, they could have designed a direct democracy with what was available at the time. For example, designing a federal Pony Express system. Each town could have had a reputable designated rider who carried the government initiative votes back and forth in a sealed satchel. We could have had special government black horses with a dedicated lane, say with a diamond painted in it, and a penalty if you used it for any other purpose. Maybe we could have called it the Federal Express lane or something. Okay, maybe that design could easily have been corrupted by robbers stealing votes along the way. Well, how about a design using trained carrier pigeons, where each person attaining adulthood was given 2 replaceable homing pigeons, one dyed blue and the other dyed red. A voter would release the one that represented their vote on a specific day of a vote. Then a government official would count the pigeons as they arrived home in Philadelphia or Washington, D.C. Of course, then we would need laws against shooting political pigeons. We could have pigeon action committees to feed the pigeons with goodies on their journey to support democracy. Everyone would also be given free umbrellas, I guess. Okay, maybe pigeons would not be a great design either. Of course, the designers of a voting system could perpetuate an existing design of the dastardly crowd over the sea and create an equivalent of the Houses of Parliament, the House of Commons and the House of Lords. The people of each community could send some poor schlep to live in the wonderful climate of Philly or Washington, D.C., but then that would be a representative democracy, not really a true direct democracy. Of course, we would only need that design until better implementation technology came along, where everyone could make their vote known directly. Heck, as an ex-programmer, I could write the code for the voting computer program. I think it boils down to one line of pseudocode, an if statement. If this social security number or acceptable ID has already voted on this initiative, issue an error and investigate the problem. Otherwise, use the voter's selection to add 1, 2, for or against initiative. You could even easily write it in HTML, hypertext markup language. Notice I even know what the acronym means. There's also a special handshake that goes with it. Unfortunately, old systems tend to grow and become more complex as the years pass. I moved from San Francisco to another town in California and then went to vote on the day of the general election. They wouldn't let me vote. Something about I'd moved to a different district. But I had a social security number and I was a citizen. Apparently not good enough. Oh well, I'm sure it was for some good reason that I wouldn't understand. I walked away wondering who would guard the guards. So human systems get perpetuated. Of course, old systems can be a significant problem for us as customers, especially if one doesn't understand the politics behind the development of the system. Again, be careful of what you perpetuate. I'm going to go more into our human system archaeological dig and how it relates to business issues. But before I do, I'll show you that I have a keen grasp of the obvious by stating some concepts that I want to use as a basic for the rest of the videos. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. Related to that, I want to adapt Newton's first law of motion to apply to a customer request flowing through an organization. The customer's request or impetus, like a body in motion, wants to stay in motion through an organization until impeded by some resistance, i.e. an unnatural boundary. Next, in a hierarchy, any high-level partitioning or grouping will govern everything below it. That's a quote from one of Robert Pirsig's books. Next, historical boundaries will perpetuate themselves unless actively changed. That's a quote from me, but I'm probably not the first to say it. And finally, one of my favorite quotes, especially when talking about analysis and historical thinking, no problem can be solved by the same level of consciousness that created it. We must learn to see the world anew. That's from Albert Einstein. Let's see how these obvious notions manifest themselves in the real world. Tied in with human design systems, I also found a human business work structure, which was founded many years ago, in fact developed and followed during the Industrial Age. There was this Scottish philosopher and author called Adam Smith who wrote a book titled The Wealth of Nations, published in 1776, quite a significant date in the USA. In Book 1, Chapter 1, he wrote on the concept of the division of labour, English spelling there. The greatest improvement in the productive powers of labour seem to have been the effects of the division of labour, the separation of different trades and employments from one another. He then stated, in countries which enjoy the highest degree of industry and improvement, what is the work of one man in a rude state of society, being generally that of several in an improved one. I always like it when evocative adjectives like rude are used to make one's point, such as, do you like this terrible, disgusting car, or this fantastic streamlined one? Of course, no one would want to live in a rude state. I don't think so. So Mr. Smith recommended creating many separate skill jobs rather than one person with many skills. Of course, consider the typical workforce at the time, ex-farm workers from the agricultural age. And what was the work day or week during the agricultural revolution? I don't think it was a regular fixed time schedule. Remember the phrase, make hay while the sun shines? I bet even the farm owner was out getting in the crops when they were ready to harvest and during the good weather. If it was a stormy day, they'd probably use their other skills and worked in the barn or repaired equipment until the sun went down and they couldn't see anymore. We couldn't have that flexible schedule in a factory where the machines had to be operated in a workflow. People being at machines were now important in the Industrial Revolution. Also, do you think there was a vice president of the barn or a senior VP of the pigsty? I don't think so. It was probably quite a flat management hierarchy on the farm. So coupled with the separation of skills in an industry, the flat hierarchy needed changing. Years later, along comes Frederick Winslow Taylor and his work, The Principles of Scientific Management, published in 1911. He was an American and called himself a human productivity consultant. He recommended the separation of management from workers and recommended multiple levels of management. He conducted detailed time and motion studies on the work, which was overseen by different managers. He is even reputed to have died with a stopwatch in his hand. So these two theories advocated the separation of jobs by skill and the formation of a management structure to match. At least that's what we should do in an industrial age. Of course, we wouldn't perpetuate industrial age concepts into an information age, right? Again, be careful what you perpetuate. Lo and behold, on my dig I found a computer system. Lots of them, actually. Following on from the ending of our previous topic, let me ask a similar rhetorical question. Of course, we wouldn't perpetuate an industrial age human structure into information age computer systems, right? Remember my keen grasp of the obvious statement, historical boundaries will perpetuate themselves unless actively changed. I'd like to extend that statement and add they can become hysterical boundaries. To explain what I mean, I'm going to use one of my favorite slides from my business process analysis seminar. This example is taken from my own information systems career. If you're in the business world, you should relate to the example I'm going to use here. Otherwise, please view this example from what you experience sometimes as a customer. Here's what is thought to be a functional area in just about every organization. It's the accounting department. People in this department get their jobs based on their accounting skill and experience. I seem to be picking on the accounting department a lot in these videos. It's not intentional, as you see later. Anyway, here's Bill. He has an accounting degree and years of experience in his field. Now, back in the 70s, the old data processing department, looking for work, says, "We can automate this and help you do your job with a computer system. We'll write a big batch computer system, batch all transactions up during the day, and process them with the computer system in the middle of the night." By the way, these early batch computer programs tended to be incalcitrant monsters. I wrote one that turned out to be the biggest program in the company I worked for. I left the company to get away from maintaining it. So now I guess the batch computer system knows accounting logic and has accounting experience, just as the accountant did. Wait a minute, that's not right. Any computer program can do accounting logic, and the longer a computer system runs doesn't mean it gets more experience. Oh well, the 80s arrive and online technology gets cheaper, so the computer department says, we should put this online with an integrated network of terminals. But we don't have a big budget, so we'll just do a line-for-line conversion of the existing big batch programs to online programs. You won't know it's an old program structure, and you'll get fast response from the computer terminals. Oh dear. The 90s arrive with a chance to bring in a new structure, but we have the year 2000 problem looming. Y2K. All resources get channeled into replacing the hardware and buying software packages to match the existing systems, so there won't be too much disruption. No new radical structures this time, please. Oh well. Great. The new millennium arrives, the internet takes off, business department managers take control of their own information system needs. They say we've got to put our systems on the net, but I'm only using my department's budget for just my systems. Now customers get told or see strange messages like "not on this server" when trying to accomplish a need with these systems on the internet. Worse, when trying to sort out a problem, customers get told that's our policy and it's in our billing system now, so you can't change that. Now, you can replace this example of how human-to-computer structures get perpetuated with any classical department boundaries such as order entry, new account, stock control, accounts receivable or payables, general ledger, shipping and billing systems, etc., not just accounting. So historically, the introduction of new computer technology helped, but in the wrong way. It produced faster, disjoint, industrial-age computer systems. By the way, if you know someone starting a business, tell them not to fall into this trap of using old human and computer system structures. The point is that historical boundaries will perpetuate themselves unless actively changed, and can become what I call hysterical boundaries. Again, be careful what you perpetuate. Follow me on to the last video in this series, part 6, to continue our archaeological dig. We'll see how we can unchain ourselves from industrial age systems and how organizations can become customer focused with information age systems. Or you can find out more about what I teach professionally by going to my website at www.logicalconclusionsinc.com.